Hello everybody, welcome to this edition of the Coaching Conversation. In this series, we're looking to help business owners, business leaders see how coaching can help them and their teams be the people they want to be, achieve the things they really want to achieve in their life. We also aim it at fellow coaches. What we're really looking to do is to show them our experiences and hope that inspires them and helps them develop their own skills and practices. I'm Graham Wiley. I've been coaching business leaders and business owners around the world for the last 2 decades. Nothing more to say now other than get ready, get comfortable. Here comes this edition of the Coaching Conversation. Hello, and here is another edition of the Coaching Conversation. And today I want to talk about coaching business leaders who are running very high growth businesses. On the face of it, this is a nice problem. On the face of it, high growth tends to go alongside high success, and that tends to mean this is an easy place to work. How wrong that might prove to be. High growth is more desirable than being in a business that's failing and collapsing. Clearly there's hopefully a future for this business, but don't underestimate the challenges for the business leaders that high growth brings. One of the key aspects that I like to explore with business leaders in high growth businesses is, do you understand why you're successful? What is the magic sauce? What is the key ingredient? What is the success factor that you've created that makes people want what you've got? Because, in simple terms, if you don't really understand that, you don't really know that you're in control of what happens next. If you know what they're valuing, if you know what they appreciate about what you've got, you'll know whether or not you're going to continue to meet that need. Because you could just be like Icarus. You grow very quickly, you miss the point, and suddenly there you are no more. Another aspect of understanding what the client wants and why they want it from you is that you can continue to adapt as their needs typically change over time. And the next aspect from that is that you can manage the effectiveness, the financial effectiveness of what you're providing them. If you know what they want, how much they value it, you can work out what they're prepared to pay for it, and therefore what you need to invest to support it and or to make it as better as well as it can be compared to the ultimate competition. So from a high growth point of view, the start point is, do we know why we're successful? Because if we do, we can then manage this situation. The second thing is, what are the ramifications? Is it all about hiring more people, hiring them, training them, imbibing them in the culture, making them understand what the customers want? Is it that? Which is no small feat. Particularly if you're tripling, quadrupling scale every year or even more often than that. That's tough. You're almost preoccupied doing that. Could be you need to change the way in which you manufacture. You started out on your kitchen table and now you've got this factory, and now you need one twice the size. And every time you make one of those decisions, you make a massive commitment to the organisation, which quite frankly translates into the word risk. Because there is a financial risk, because you're not going to buy something that's big enough for what you've currently got if you're growing very quickly. You're going to commit to something with oodles of spare capacity, which you hope the trajectory of growth will fill quickly. But it might not. And what happens if it doesn't? Another aspect of high growth is, are you actually profitable? Are you actually making money out of this, or are you simply reinvesting every penny to keep up with the growth? Or indeed, are you successful because you're too cheap? You're just giving it away compared to the competition. That will lead to issues around cash flow. Do you have the funding in place to support this level of growth? And if you don't, what is going to happen? At what point do you run out of cash? At what point do you run out of time to support this level of growth? So, very strong financial management in high growth companies is essential, even though you would think it's the least of your concerns because you're successful in growth terms. Another aspect of growth is that it can be taking you beyond, as the business leaders experience, beyond areas of control. You might have more than one place of work. You might have several factories. You might be in new markets with different time zones. And so you've got to develop whole new levels of leadership skills, as well as recruiting seriously capable people to look after those parts of the business that you simply aren't going to be able to reach. And so it becomes very demanding as a business leader on your ability to stay ahead of this growth curve, to stay ahead of all of the changes that are going to be coming down the tubes at you, because if you don't, who else is? And so as a coach, when dealing with business leaders in high growth situations, it's quite important that you ask these questions. It's quite important that you get them to be sure that they're in control of this very fast moving Formula One car, rather than just sitting in it and anything could happen. As the business grows, the growth won't necessarily slow. You could still be growing very, very quickly, but now it's on a different scale. Because you've now grown an enormous business, 20% growth of an enormous business is still enormous growth. It doesn't mean that you suddenly peaked. It just means that it is now an enormous business with enormous growth. And that just ultimately cements exactly all the things I've just said and the need for a growth culture. A growth culture in the mind of the business leaders, but right the way through to the most junior people in the organisation. If the organisation doesn't accept, doesn't understand, doesn't want, doesn't embrace the need for continuous change, continuous growth, then this growth will ultimately fail. Because the one thing that growth is, particularly high rates of growth over a sustained period of time, is highly accelerated change programs. You are constantly looking to do things differently to cope, looking to do things differently to move to the next phase. And so when you are, as a coach, helping these business leaders focus on high growth, very often you're asking very fundamental basic questions that get them to move away from the day-to-day management issues, the day-to-day cut and thrust issues that occupy their time. Because the one thing's for sure is in a high growth business, the business leaders are busy. So there we have it. Coaching business leaders in high growth businesses, harder than it looks, but it can be a lot of fun. See you again soon. Bye. So there you have it. That was the latest edition of the Coaching Conversation. Hope it was useful. Hope it did what it was meant to do for you. If you want any more information about our coaching practice, it's at the executivemindset.co.uk. While you're there, you can book your own free session, which will give you a much deeper insight to what coaching can really do for you. If you enjoyed the session, please give us a good rating. And if you want to reach out for further information, do email me at theexecutivemindset@sagegreen.com. That's about it for this time, and look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.